So it's absolutely essential that I make this recording immediately, and basically I will get this onto YouTube as soon as I can. But basically what has happened is an escalation of the abuse by Vivid Homes, in particular the woman called Kirsty. And basically last week I cancelled an appointment, and I spoke to somebody on the phone, which it took quite a lot for me to get on the phone, and I was heavily bleeding at the time. But I spoke to somebody called Sharon, who was very kind, and the future appointments were not going to be they weren't going to be made at all. It was cancelled indefinitely until I was at a point when I was well enough to deal with it. That was how it was left. Sharon was very kind. The subsequent reaction came from Kirsty, who literally referred me to the police, to the adult services, to Rachel, or someone who called herself Rachel, and it was an avalanche of reaction. Now all of that was dealt with, and now I suddenly find that I've got an appointment which was supposed to be made for today, which I didn't know about in time to cancel it, and I shouldn't have been given yet another appointment anyway. But there was a letter put in the post, which Kirsty must have got it into the post almost immediately, and now they apparently are saying that I've got an appointment today, which and what happened, I was talking to my husband and carer Colin on the phone about this thing that had suddenly come up, and this letter had suddenly like come through, and basically there was an instant reaction from my body. I put down the phone from talking to Colin, and I was heavily bleeding again, I'm on a cycle at the moment between heavy bleeding and less heavy bleeding, and it was instant. It was a reaction. It was like a flushing through of everything in my body. It was like, and suddenly, and from since then I'm heavily bleeding again. It was a direct and specific reaction to what had happened, and I will go as far as to say that Kirsty and her team or gang or whatever you want to call them are directly responsible for that. They are directly responsible. They have literally made me iller than I was already. So that is the position, that is the situation, that is the way it is, and they are total bullies. We also found out that there was a letter that I needed to sign to do with the capped gas, which they could just have sent the letter or got Colin to collect the letter before, so why did they not do that? But the building inspection thing is a different level. They know why it's a different level, and they're doing it on purpose. But I have a right like anybody else. Sorry, I think that my recording got paused, so I'm not quite sure what went on with that. But maybe she's even in my computer trying to get me to, in my Samsung Galaxy, trying to get me to not be able to speak out. I don't know. I'm very, very stressed, but yeah. So I'll have to listen back and see if I've recorded it all now. But yeah, okay, I'll leave it there.